can only be giraffes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are mother effing live. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that stuff you do on the internets. Today's topic, it's not really a topic, it's just a general sentiment. Pangburn community discussions. So discuss stuff, if you will. That would be great. But that's what we're doing today. Thomas, what are you rewriting in philosophy?
Oh, just all kinds of stuff. I would like to discussing, like a meta discussion. That sound cool?
I'm only cool with it if we go 8 layers deep, more deep.
Okay, can I repeat myself?
No, we have to say.
Well, first, can we have a discussion?
Go for it.
No, what were you saying, Dragon?
Can we discuss having this discussion?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's what we're getting at. Like the meta discussion. Mm-hmm. We gotta trigger Niv to get in here, because if Niv knows we're talking about the meta discussion, he'll be in here in a second.
His ears are burning right now, I swear.
Yeah. You guys are gonna sit here and have a meta discussion without me? I invented meta discussion, motherfucker.
He did. He's the OG.
He is.
He is the OG.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Snowdrop. We still only know them as what seems to be Jesus looking into the sunset.
Yep. I think that's what that is.
One day Snowdrop will turn on their camera and we will be amazed that it is in fact a 1980s depiction of white Jesus.
Or Michael Jackson, one of the two.
Or Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan as well.
Can you imagine? Michael Jordan Jackson turns on their camera.
Be like, well, now we know where he's been.
That would be wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
We know where he's been this entire time.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
Yeah. And who are you, sir?
I guess my drunk uncle was right.
But
everyone's drunk uncle is the righteous one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're basically talking about anything today. What was the topic in your Bible study today, Dragon?
Let's see. I didn't catch all of it, but I think the main thing was talking about just being respectful to people and not causing unnecessary offense, like speaking the truth in love, but just, striving to take into consideration, like, essentially, the gospel is offensive in nature to some degree, but like, let's not try to add to it and to represent Christ well in the world, essentially.
Okay.
Would you like to elaborate on the parts that you find offensive, or not? Well, I guess that you personally would find offensive if somebody else was reading it. What you see as that?
Well, more so, it's the idea that, according to the Bible, that people are in need of a savior. So it's like we aren't perfect on our own, and there's like things that we have to change, and that can be like offensive, when people take it as like there's something wrong with you. But it's when you add into like the perspective that God loves you, like no matter what, like regardless of what you've done and where you're at, and that's why he's like bringing this stuff up. I think it changes things, but it can be a hard thing to hear, even for like people who have been in the faith for a while, like dealing with other Christians. Sometimes people tend to hold themselves above rebuke, and it takes some humbleness sometimes. It can be difficult.
I can hear that. So I guess that ties to, what do you think? What is your position on original sin? What do you think about that?
humbleness.
I mean, I
sometimes
believe it
can be difficult.
exists. I think that there is this like innate desire for people to like do what they want. That kind of is the original temptation that who we call the adversary, often, which is what Satan means. That temptation was eat this tree of the knowledge of good and evil so that you can be like God. And then, in the times of Noah, the Lord said, everyone did what was right in their own eyes. And, I think that is the core temptation is to, um, which I would assume you guys can see as well as, according to my understanding, most of you believe that there is morality. So when people like operate outside of whatever you consider morality to be just because they want to do it, that's obviously problematic.
Yeah, I hear you on that, and that's similar to a lot of other Christians' beliefs as well. I've heard that in different orientations. So I guess that leads to the question of original sin. What's offensive in the Gospels? What would then be the morality that you use to say, yes, this is what original sin is. This is against what I would say, right? Do you have any opinion on that?
Could you rephrase that?
Let me see if I can say it better. So, in general, you have to use your own morality to understand the Bible. But in your sense, morality is given to you by God. Yes.
Well, I believe that um, everyone has a conscience because that's been passed down because of the eating of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. However, God does help to clarify it. And that's, why he gave the law originally wasn't that people didn't know what was right from wrong, but it was to point out like, hey, you have a lot you have to work on. So pointing out like the need that you need God essentially. So
Okay.
like God kind of points things out and clarifies stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. I've heard very similar apologetics, but I just love to know because I respect you as a thinker. I'd like to know your ideas on this specifically because, in general, um, most people would say, "Well, I'm doing a natural reading of the Bible. This is the morality that has been revealed to me, and this is how I know that that is original sin." Right? So it's kind of like making a little system in your head. Okay, I use this morality.
Right.
This is original sin, and I compare them. Right? That's kind of what I was getting at.
Ah, okay, okay.
That makes sense. I can be a little bit more clear. Sometimes my questions are crazy.
So what
I guess let me
what
be a little bit.
exactly
Bridge.
are saying like what specifically is original sin? Is that like your question of like how you find out what is original sin?
Right. So like another Christian may look at the Bible, right, and not be perhaps as read as you about the Bible. What standards or uh, way that they feel about themselves would they look at original sin and be like, "Yeah, I agree with that. That is original sin," or is it just a matter
Ah, okay. Yeah.
of yeah?
You cut out a little bit there. Is it a matter of what?
Hang on a second. I had a little thing turned on. So in general, I'm sorry that this is difficult. In general, when I look at the Bible as an example, with my secular eyes, but I grew up Christian, by the way. When I look at the Bible
Okay.
and look at original sin, I look at the tree, right, the tree of good and evil, and I look at all of that, and to me, it seems as though if I were to use my moral lens, I would be like, okay, to punish basically children for doing so, it's kind of like putting an apple in a room with a 3-year-old and saying, don't eat that apple. If you do, you'll be kicked out. So if the child eats the apple, is it their fault? That's what my mind would go to. And I would say, I don't know how to categorize original sin if the original benchmark is getting angry at a child for doing what children do. But that's an internal
Hmm.
critique, right? Using my external morality. A Christian would probably tell me I'm using my external morality to judge how God saw the definition of original sin, which is disobeyment and then exile, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm asking your moral system that you use to determine that, yeah, I mean, that God was righteous in doing that.
I see. I see.
Okay.
Um, Not trying to run away from the conversation. Unfortunately, I'm about to have to go and unpack my car, and I was having issues with my car wanting to start
Sorry.
earlier, so I have to drive to my parents tonight so that if I have to use one of their vehicles for work in the morning. So I can't get all the way deep into this at the
That's okay.
moment,
I hope it
but
starts for you. Sorry about
I
that.
definitely yeah, appreciate it, man. But I definitely am willing to explore this more further. However, I think that perhaps the term original sin maybe isn't the best terminology to use. Like the more that I think about this,
Okay.
because really it's like it's now that you have this knowledge of what is right and wrong. Like now you are accountable for your actions. And like in the beginning, Adam and Eve didn't have that. Like they weren't perfect, but God didn't hold them accountable because they didn't know right from wrong. So
Okay.
it's the same as like the Hebrew tradition is that a child under the age of 12 isn't held accountable for their sin because they don't have the degree of reason that they
Hmm.
need.
Yeah, the age of
Um,
accountability. Yeah.
and so it's like now now people are born with a conscience. So it's like, well, you're responsible for your actions if you know what you're doing is wrong. But like
Mm.
I do see like it like there's a lot you have to kind of like figure out when it comes to I believe they knew it was wrong to eat the fruit because God specifically told them not to. So like they didn't know that, because he said, hey, you can eat from everything, but specifically, they were told, hey, don't do this. And they had
Mm.
enough reasoning to know, oh, he specifically said, don't do this.
Okay. I guess then my question is, were they really innocent before God told them that and gave them that reasoning? Because my mind goes to the example of the children again. Under the age of accountability, I'm not going to hold a child completely responsible for, like, especially like 2, 3 year olds, truly innocent children, of eating the apple on the table, right? When I tell them not to. Now, if God somehow imbued them with reasoning the moment He said, "Don't eat the apple," then that's a different discussion. But I guess we're really drilling down to, were Adam and Eve really innocent, or were they already, born, created, whatever, with the knowledge to be able to understand God, to not to take His commandments? You know what I mean? That's the real question, I think.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Mm.
to conclude before I have to get some stuff done and do make like a note because we can come back to this, like
Of
whether
course.
it's on stream or in person.
Hmm.
But I do believe that they had the cognitive ability to understand what God was telling them. Like they were adults, like sure they were like freshly into the world, but they were made in the imago Dei, the image of God. So they had reasoning.
Okay.
And so specifically he said, "Hey, don't do this." And he even warned like there's death here. Like this is and God wound up sacrificing an animal in the place of them having to die, but it's like, hey, like this is really serious. There's consequences for this. But
Mm.
I don't think that they were perfect beforehand. But it comes to like the accountability of okay, you knew eating this fruit was wrong because I told you so.
yet you still chose to disobey me and do it. So, what I talk about is that, I believe animals have souls, but animals, like, they don't know what they're doing is right or wrong because they didn't eat of the fruit. So that way, like, there isn't this call for us to preach the gospel to a dog.
I guess where my mind goes here is, again, this is just further evidence that I am, morally superior to Yahweh. And I know that might sound offensive, but if children of mine or creations of mine, made a mistake or did something I told them not to do, I would simply see that they broke the rule, and I would try a different way of teaching them if it was truly something they shouldn't be doing. So that, I mean, just as a person who has a very disconnected morality from Christians and the Christian God, that's where my mind goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I do have to do things, but
I
I'm
know
so
you have to get
interested in
going.
this.
I know you have to get going.
Yeah, yeah.
But hopefully you can come. Hopefully you can come back later. If not, we'll pick it up another time.
Yeah, I already made a note of it. So no big deal at all.
Yeah, it's okay. I may have to chime in more later, but I want to share this thought though, and I think that Yah was merciful, and that, like, he told them beforehand, like, when you eat of this, like, the consequence is death. And so, like, you as a man right now, if you're told, like, hey, like, do not do this, like, essentially it's, don't step out in front of a train speeding towards you, because that gets messy and it's going to harm you, and there's death involved with this. Like, you right now would understand, like, oh, okay. Or if it's like some kind of, like, it's like, hey, this wire is hot and it's got enough voltage to kill you if you touch it.
Yeah.
Like, you understand not to do that. But then when they did it anyways, which was offensive to the Lord and caused all these consequences, he then was like, hmm, okay. And they were hiding from him then, because they then knew what was right from wrong. They're hiding from the Lord. Pay for you.
You're breaking up a bit there, Dragon.
He knew what was getting from. Come back to me. Let's.
That's all right. We'll
Is this better?
Yeah. Finish off. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so, like, they had, they were hiding from God, and they had.
Oh, I think we're losing you again.
Knowing, like, why they were hiding. Okay.
That's all right.
It's
we'll pick it up.
It's okay.
God is obviously telling you to go and deal with your car right now. So.
We can dissect the multitude later.
Go, Tyson.
All right.
What?
Yeah, go ahead, Tyson.
All right, so I was going to say we can dissect the multitudes later. I think that, there's also other layers to this. Like, again, is an agent culpable for actions that will lead to generational punishment later on if the agent itself was lied to, is one instance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the issue that I was going to go to was, in general, what does innocence mean here? Because many Christians have that apologetic of the age of accountability. Not all, but a lot do. And so therefore, children who are under the age of 12 to 14, whatever the number that they stop at is exempt technically from original sin. I mean, yes, they still have it implanted, but they're not held accountable for it until they have the ability to make serious decisions for themselves. So that is an apologetic that is injected a lot, but the idea is, where did innocence start? A lot of the story is, they didn't know what was going on. They were new to the world. And so I guess what I'm asking is, what does the Bible think about truly innocent things. What is innocence? And if Dragon or any of the apologetics that follow that style are saying, well, they had reason from the beginning, then, well, how do children have innocence? So the Bible purports to explain everything. And so I usually like to ask that simple question about morality, innocence, and original sin, because it does seem to be the linchpin of many of these issues, especially in the Gospels, like Dragon was bringing up, when Jesus references it implicitly many times.
Yeah, no, that is correct.
Yeah. I don't know if we have any more Christians to respond in here, but go ahead, Tyson.
Yeah. I'll wait for Christians to come by. I have my ammunition stored in the back.
Yes, always.
Cool.
Well,
that was fun. I was trying to sneak away to get a little writing done. I wasn't sure how long Dragon was going to be able to stick around.
Wow.
Oh, we do have Phalanx. Hey, welcome back, Brett, from your hiatus.
Brett and my boy Phalanx. What up? Oh, and Robin.
Robinovich.
Hi, Robin.
And Arsion. We were just talking about how much of a God-fearing Christian you are still.
Yes.
My ears were burning. My ears were burning.
Good. Probably because you're from Kentucky.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Oh yeah. Before we jump into the next topic, I have reopened my philosophical coaching suite again, and I do have 15 clients already who have signed up. So it's way busier than I was expecting to be with it. So we kind of do have like full week schedules going, but I do have some slots here and there still available for coaching. If anyone's interested in it, you can DM me. I can give you more information. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, philosophical coaching sessions can be customized to what you're looking for. And apart from what you might do in like a clinical setting with regards to therapy, you're not really going to get into philosophy and ideas. Whereas in philosophical coaching, that's what we do. We try to challenge the barriers of your knowledge, try to set discernible, articulable purposes and goals. And I help the best I can to help you better articulate that stuff and pursue goals and offer critiques when they're desired. And so yeah, anyone who's interested in that, you can DM me, or you can find the philosophical coaching tab here on Discord, or just tag me anywhere and I'll find you. Or you can email me or email us at info@pang-burn.com. Yeah, today
I recommend it.
Yeah. Thanks, Tommy boy.
He's a good teammate.
We are just having just general discussions today. So topics are open. And if you have something on your mind that you want to discuss with the room, today is a very good day for that. I think we're going to do a long stretch of these where the air is just open for someone to say something and start a discussion. Mm-hmm. I'm, for the most part, going to kind of play host and moderator for these, because I already talk way too much on these community discussions, and I might chime in once in a while. But I'm also going to be working on and editing and writing some of my book in the background. So this is an opportunity to bring up your pet issue. It can be political, artistic, philosophical, whatever. Hot takes. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Do it.
So I've already written about this on my Substack, and actually, thank you very much, Thomas, for checking it out.
I loved it.
Yeah, and it specifically has to do with the manosphere, and I think a negative direction that they've led a lot of people in. I think that, and I think many people will agree with me on this. There does need to be some guidance of young men and boys, because unfortunately we have had a dearth of like fathers in the home, and it seems like culture as a whole also influences how our youth grow up, and it seems like culture has been kind of hostile to a lot of young men. The question is, how do we exactly get into the right role models, and what would be a good role model? As we know, there are people like the Tates who have gotten arrested recently. They are a prime example of what we do not want. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially since they've committed all sorts of heinous acts. Um,
Yeah.
so my question into anyone who wants to respond is who would you want to be a good to be a role model for your male child, and what exactly is it that you see in them that makes them a good male role model?
Good question.
Because yeah.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Oh yeah, and the last thing I will say is that I also think that when it, like dating and relationships are something that a lot of men feel they have a hard time with. So if you could include in your answer like what you think should be done about that, I personally think it's a matter of like evidence-based education, because I think we need people to have solid understanding of social dynamics rather than being told just be yourself, as advice for like for finding a relationship. Worst advice ever.
Yeah, it's too generalized, and it doesn't really reach to the core of most of young men's pain
Yeah.
that makes them seek this algorithmic masculinity. That is very, very damaging to them over time. I don't know if I have a perfect answer for who it would be, because I don't know a lot of like pop culture people, YouTubers, all that kind of stuff. Could it be someone in the past?
It could be. It could be as long as they can be like broadcast to people. Whether that be through books, movies, television, music. You could even. I don't know if Achilles is a good one, but like if you wanted it to be Achilles, you could tell them the story of him.
Yeah. I don't have an amazing answer immediately, but I'll think for a second. Anybody else got one?
Yeah, I got an initial thought. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, just let me know if not, because my AirPods. I think in part the answer is that it has to be you. We have to. There has to be a certain level of accountability for any people in society, but in particular ourselves, to go do things at the local level. And while you can point to various celebrities and maybe Achilles or Socrates or other figures in history that that they could go learn the lives of and their logic and different experiences and the wisdom from that, I think they have to have a live representative, and you don't have to be a superhero with it. It's just being a role model in like talking to them about why toxic masculinity, like what exactly it is, how it occurs, where there's a thing of like being confident and a good leader and like a moral and upstanding person, right? But then there's the point of arrogance and, actively like competition to the point where it's very unhealthy. And I think most people are very capable of being those role models, but yeah, like you kind of pointed out, Archeon, if I'm saying your name right. If not, let me know.
It's Archeon. Thank you for getting it right. I've had people call me Archon, and I've heard people call me Arshin. So thank you for getting that right.
Sure. I think that most people have that ability within them of just a good central moral compass. But what's problematic is that, like, trying to explain. So I teach high school, and trying to explain to young men that the shortcuts to many paths will not yield the results they want. Whether it's workouts, nutrition, or social relationships and stuff like that, right? It is very much like sometimes you have to take the harder path, but that's the path that really is going to get you the reward you want. It's not easy to sometimes stand up in a group of friends where they're very like dehumanizing other people or stuff like that and being like, hey guys, like, can we like bring it back a little? Like, I think like maybe we're, being a little too hard on someone or whatnot, or being a little too sexist. It's not easy to do that if you come to realize your group of friends, like they're openly like misogynistic, you know what I mean? But letting them know that at the same time, if they want a world that actually is better to a certain degree, that, you know, they have to start with themselves. But I'll stop there because I know that was at least a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Well,
So
I,
you're good.
I don't. I kind of have some thoughts on that. I will say I don't entirely disagree. My issue is like having an internal locus of control. I think is good for an individual's life. You know, so like if I wanted to improve my life, the worst thing I can do is have an external locus of control. You know, and constantly put all my burden level. You know, at like at large. Like if you want to help out the general population, at that point you can't just say, just be a better person and and focus on people just only taking accountability, because we know that people are influenceable. People are able to be influenced by outside beliefs, and sometimes people don't always know what to believe. Like I was a young man, I had no idea what it meant to be a man, and for a long time, and it took me many, many years to go through a lot to find out what it means to be a good man. And so I think that where I would push back is I think we do need people to kind of inspire and guide, because, they'll make less mistakes. People will be more likely to follow something if it's worth following, like, and again, this is not me saying that on an individual level they shouldn't take responsibility. It's more like on a population level, we would want influences that maybe they give them a nudge in the right direction.
Yeah. So how would we reach young boys? You know what I mean? That from this pain hijacking identity system of this algorithmic masculinity, right? I would say that you don't reach a manosphere captured boy or man by beginning with moral humiliation, right? I believe you brought that up a moment ago. I would say you begin by recognizing that many of the entry points are very real, weaker emotional support pathways for boys, pressure around strength and performance, stuff like that, and broader confusion about masculinity and male belonging in society. I looked up a while ago on Pew's recent data. It shows that boys are less likely than girls to say that they have a close friend that they can turn to for emotional support, right?
Yeah.
And teens broadly think girls have it way easier on that front, and boys also report more pressure to be physically strong and good at sports, right? And so this creates a lot of very weird things about this pain hijacked identity system. What do you think?
Yeah. And I don't necessarily even think that it's a bad thing to want to be good at sports and to want to be physically fit, and to have good athletics.
Not at all.
Yeah,
the pressure count was what I was talking about. Yeah.
Right. An unhealthy pressure where like where like people feel like if you don't perform, you're nothing. That's not a good thing.
No, I agree.
And again, my whole point is, like for instance, like I like the tale of Heracles, whether you call him Heracles or Hercules is, I guess, whether you actually, I like the Hercules story better because I like the Roman view of Hercules.
I like the Disney movie.
But I think the myth is so much better than the Disney movie, because he is what I think would be a good example of healthy masculinity. There's like many stories that revolve around Hercules, including one where he has a fork in the road that he has to choose between two women. One woman is dressed modestly and very beautiful. The other one is also very beautiful but much more sensually dressed. And one of them represents ease and pleasure, and the other one represents hard or grueling work but glory. And he chooses the path of glory and hard work. And I could go and you should read the myth yourself, of course. But I think the Disney movie heavily undercuts what Hercules actually is as a myth. I think he's a very, very good interpretation. And also, I think the biggest thing we can point out, he's a Greek god. Greek gods are dicks for the most part, So he's kind of unique amongst the gods for not being a massive dick.
The Greeks were extremely misogynistic, though. Extremely.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we have to take away everything that we
Yeah, they're definitely a manosphere whole civilization of manosphere, sort of.
Yeah.
I
Like
would
if
pick
they were around,
Thomas.
if
If I had a
if the,
son, I would pick Thomas to be my son's role model.
aw,
Thank you.
yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, but like like I get it. Like the ancient Greeks probably would be telling us what you forgot. Now, like if the ancient world was around nowadays, hopefully not. But I still think that like Heracles is a great myth. Because he taught it teaches a lot of lessons about overcoming obstacles and having an internal locus of control and believing and going the distance. I think that it's still a good myth, and I think there are tons of other people throughout history. Like we've how many people have seen Hacksaw Ridge,
I
the
have not.
movies?
Oh,
Okay. Okay. I don't have time to like tell you the full story, but basically, a guy named Desmond Dawes, he's a pacifist, but he joined the army as a medic, and because legally he does have the right to do that as a conscientious objector. He just, he can choose not to fight, but to help people who are wounded. And he saved a whole bunch of people on a ridge that was being attacked in the Pacific, and saved hundreds of lives without firing a shot.
correct. Yeah, Desmond's a good role model. I guess I do have a curveball to throw you, my friend.
Sure.
Would it be? I would say that we're saturated with many good role models in society. I would say that there's no such thing as perfect information, and thus, because of that, I mean, bad role models, of course, influence a certain percentage of the population. Um, so, like, what would you think in this case? Like, what do you think is the main culprit, at least, to the manosphere?
I would say it's not like some kind of cabal of people going behind the scenes, and going into a shadowy room, sitting at one of those big like meeting tables, and saying, "How can we turn men misogynistic?" I don't think that's what's going on. If it was as well, then honestly, I hope they have good food. Um, but I think what it is being lost. I think when people are lost, they are vulnerable.
You
And
actually
I
brought
think,
it up. You actually, if I may interrupt really quickly, I love
yeah,
what you're
sure.
saying. You brought up what's called father hunger. There's a thing in attachment theory called attachment hunger when someone doesn't have an emotionally healthy, secure attachment. Father hunger is a thing too. It's hunger for recognition from a man as a young boy. Many young boys don't get that from their fathers or from the people around them or from their teachers or whoever's in their life. It's hunger for a blessing and guidance from those older men. You know what I mean? To be ushered into manhood. Hunger for that embodied modeling, that challenge without contempt kind of thing. And so it's about, a boy can have a physically present father and still experience this. A boy can also have that hunger that partially met by another grandfather, coach, uncle, teacher, all that kind of stuff. But it falls into what's called male initiation. It's the developmental movement by which a boy comes to feel in a reality-based way, I am entering adulthood. I can carry the weight of being a man. I can be seen. I can belong. I can act. I can be trusted. I do not need to prove manhood through spectacle. That's a big problem with young boys, and I believe that's one of the main initiation doorways. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually agree with. Or were you asking me?
Yeah, anybody in the room, but yes, specifically you as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think so, and I think what's I wish we had more of. I don't think that like these are always done in the healthiest way, and I don't think that they're like a replacement for like taking your time to become a more mature man. But I do see that a lot of cultures what are they called bench that milestones of people like
Yeah.
becoming an adult. Like I think like in certain tribes and like you're given hunting tools and you find and you're supposed to hunt down like a very dangerous animal, and doing so is kind of like your initiation into manhood.
Indeed.
Yeah, and I think that oh shit. Sorry, hey Travis, I accidentally unfriended you by accident. I pressed something, so I I just resent a friend request, so just when you get the chance.
You press the wrong button, it's all over.
He hates me.
No, but just really quickly, what you're bringing up is extremely important. You know, healthy initiation is not hazing and humiliation and like sexual scorekeeping or domination. You know what I mean? I would say it's a structured passage into responsibility and dignity and embodiment of that manhood and moral adulthood. So boys are often pressured to perform masculinity without being initiated into it. Right? That's the issue. They're like, hey, be a man. You don't know how to do it? Too bad.
Yeah, and there aren't, I don't think, enough honor groups. So honor groups are like people like Jack Donovan defined an honor group as an amoral group, not immoral or immoral, but just amoral. And like these could be things like gangs, pirate crews, those the soldiers, and police unions, things like that. But these are a group of people that have a certain standard of competency, a certain code and reward systems for vertical and horizontal honor. And the idea is that one form of honor is like the baseline for everybody. Everybody has to obey these rules and meet these standards. Like if you're going to like a football game, you're a player, you have to show up every single time and pull your weight. And then there's like a different type of honor, which is for a higher level of honor for those who do better, who excel at the virtues within that group.
If I may ask really quickly, I'm sorry. When you say amoral, when I think about soldiers as an entity or the cops as an entity, I don't think amorally. I mean, many people, like, if depending on which person you ask, the cops could be an immoral force. No matter, they would broad brush the entire enterprise of policing. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know if like it's truly amoral. That's kind of why I'm asking.
Well, no. Like, so what I meant is the concept is amoral, but it can have moral and immoral interpretations, like in like manifestations, I should say. So, like, I think we can all agree, pirates are immoral, right? Like, they may have been made to like look really cool in One Piece, but like in real life,
I
they're
love
not
One
great
Piece.
people.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Anime stuff. Can't help myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I think pirates can be immoral. They can also be moral depending on what you're doing with them.
Yeah, but for the most part, like robbing people of their money and their belongings and holding them for ransom and stuff like that doesn't tend to score very good. I don't think the Pangburn moral virtues would look at that and be like, yeah, that's a great way to live your life.
Well, in general, think about this. Soldiers today, that you could make, most people think that's a very moral, but like, what about the 70s when people came back from Vietnam?
Well, the thing is, a lot of those people were like, I think, more innocent than the people who were sending them there. A lot of them didn't. A lot of them were either drafted or they were or they volunteered, not knowing what they were getting into.
I don't know.
So in general, are you saying that the whole enterprise of being a soldier, like the figure, like I am a soldier, is an amoral thing, or am I misunderstanding your usage of amoral?
I'm saying it can manifest as being a moral or immoral thing, but the concept of an honor group, which is what I was talking about, honor group, the concept of an honor group is amoral because it can manifest in both moral and immoral fashions. It's not one or the other. And
mainly the issue here is language. Me and Travis basically have an argument that nothing and no one is technically, well, a hurricane is amoral, right? But like in terms of people or groups or institutions, I think that there is always going to be some lean off of the center. You know what I mean? I don't know if there is any complete amoralness when it comes to humans or institutions. So
right. That's a good question. I do not know the answer to that. But the thing is, I think young boys and men do need more honor groups. And like you might disagree with like the military or the police, and that's totally up in the air. But I think, there's things like football teams that are an honor group.
Yeah, team sports are great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you have to show up on time.
I mean, I think that playing sports instills good ethics in most boys or girls. I think that team, like the idea that you're part of a team, you have a responsibility to be there for practice. You have like you hold up a position that is expected to do, and you work hard. So yeah, I think sports are good for kids, and I think a lot of sports, like in my county, there for a while. I think it's kind of picked back up a little bit, maybe now, but there for a while, the sports teams were suffering from a lack of interest by a lot of the especially the young boys and girls. I think that I've been looking at this problem for a while, and I think that a lot of it stems from that we are our society is changing. Our gender roles are finally coming somewhat undone from this traditional, this 1950s mess of like, this is what women have to be, this is what men have to be. And I think that the girls probably went through the change first. The female part of society kind of went through the change first, and I think that so a lot of the males, the younger males, are trying to catch up now with what changes have come about. Because like I look back at when my dad graduated high school, what he knew that was in front of him as far as expectations about what his, what he was supposed to do when he got out of high school, and how after he got out of college was he supposed to, he was supposed to get a job and raise a family and be a father and all these things. And so he knew that this is kind of what his life was going to be like, because this is what life had been like for before him. And I think now that we're entered into a place where women are throwing off the ideal of that expectational aspect of this is what you have to be a woman in this society. And I think that a lot of the younger boys or younger men are kind of reeling from the fact that maybe they didn't recognize earlier on that this was going to be what happened when they got older, when they got to like that stage of manhood, that they weren't going to be just entering into society at the same way that their father did or something like that. Like there's going to be
I hear you.
Their roles.
I think
the roles are shifting, and so I think that it's kind of got them like a duck out of water, sort of like. And I'm like you. I do think that playing sports is good. Not all kids are good at sports, though. And I don't think that you should make a kid who's not good at sports play sports, because
no. But I would like to bring up really quickly, and Arcion, I know you and Robin have studied a lot about this, but I'm deeply interested in the manosphere as well, and helping this. And so in general, I'd like to just my main phrase and the thing that I follow in life: teamwork. Right? That is literally how the brotherhood between males in teamwork is something that you can't replace. And when you say honor groups, I think about teamwork. I think about brotherhood. Right? Yes. That's what I think about. Right? And so that is where you have people who call you and say, "You coming to practice today? Hey, how are you doing? Can I bring you to practice? Hey, you're here. You look like you're feeling down. Like, here, come run the track with me." Right? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? We need that throughout life. In every sense, we should never stop being in teams until we die. I think.
It builds good principles in somebody.
It does.
And it makes you reliable too. It makes you reliable because there's a group of people you have to answer to all the time when it comes to your behavior and how you act in the world.
Yes,
and you have an interdependent nature in that team. I'm sorry, real quick, Robin. You have an interdependent nature in that team. If you fail, you're helping your team fail. But if all the team is working together and be like, "Hey, I got you here. I see you lacking in this spot. I got you." You know what I mean? That is so important. That interdependence. Nobody's fusing into each other or like saying "fuck off." They are saying, "I got you. I see you struggling." You know what I mean? Like, here, come help me. I'm struggling. That in a team, it's okay to ask for help and receive it. But whenever we're outside of that, especially men and males, they're like, "I can't request it. I can't request it because I don't have a team." and I think that's a huge problem. Sorry, Robin.
Yes. Well, like in sportsmanship, like I think sportsmanship is like instills like, honesty. Like I grew up playing sports. I mean, golf. So like, I think golf is a game of honor, sort of. I mean, like it because a lot of times, you could cheat in golf and get away with it easy. The pros can't because they've got these cameras on them all the time. But like, like our president, you can cheat in golf. So like, but you don't. I mean, if you have, any kind of ethics about you, you don't because then, if so, I won, but I cheated. So what did I win? You know what I mean? That's the way I was raised with like, so, but, I think that we like, I do think that the men, we've got to get away from like trying to shove women back into traditional roles to help sort out the men. I don't like that ideal. I don't. I mean, I hear so much of this about it's about feminism. Feminism is the reason. Like yeah, it's. I mean, we're just gonna have to learn.
The manager likes to say that for sure, but not all men, of course. Yeah.
Well, I think also it depends on what
let's
we
let
mean
Art
by
go in front really quickly because we've interrupted him a couple of times, and then we'll jump back to Robin. I'll shut up.
Yeah. So, and it also depends on what you mean when you say feminism, because like there's totally radical versions of feminism that will say like kill all men or horrible stuff like that. There are versions of feminism that I think are very toxic, but I think like you have to ask the question: how many people actually who call themselves feminists actually follow that? How many people are actually following those specific forms of feminism?
It's also the right does a very good job at straw manning the left by taking our worst extremes and making that the entirety of what we are. So they've done this flawlessly with feminism specifically because like if you grew up in like the 90s or blah blah blah, feminism meant like man hating, bra burning, like that's what you heard when you heard feminist, because like the right like there's concerted effort.
It did seem to start as a hard rebellion, right? Feminism when it first started. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
I think
no,
feminism
was always no. So, what were you saying, Robin? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm a feminist. To me, that means it does not mean anything about degrading men. It's about raising women up to the same level. Like so I'm all. So it's about choice. It's about a woman having a choice. So if a woman decides that she wants to get married out of high school and stay home and raise 5 kids, as a feminist, I should applaud her for that if that is her choice and that's what makes her happy. And I think that she should have every right to make that choice. But if that's not what she wants to do, she should also have the choice not to do that. And I think that a lot of young men are dealing with the fact that, like I said, that a lot of women have came out of that expectation of that's what's going to happen to me when I get out of school.
Because
I'm going to get married.
Since we have a lot of people wanting to talk real quick, let's let Moloch go, then Brett, and then Arceon again if he wants to go.
Thank you for that's a good way to direct it. Okay, so I would argue that feminism is intrinsically fighting for egalitarianism or like equal rights. So anyone claiming to be a feminist, like second wave feminist kind of thing, who is like man hating, isn't like definitionally, I would argue, isn't actually a feminist. No true feminist.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Blah blah blah.
No, you're good. Let Brett go because he wanted to go here. Go ahead. Say one more. You're good, Marla. Furthermore,
I would say that like never mind. It doesn't matter.
It's okay. Brett's gonna jump in.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of directions we were going with various topics, but there has to be, and this isn't like I wouldn't say like a shaming thing. That's obviously ridiculous for sure. But like I think a lot of people are not aware that in the past, domestic abuse was like I don't want to say a normal thing, but like certain points of history, like abuse towards others was not illegal. And we've only had that in law books for a given number of years. And when I call myself a feminist, it's very much like, I'm not about hating. I am a man, right? But I do know a very distorted history that has treated women like second class citizens. And going like Robin's saying there, the spell has to be broken to be like, we're going back to past times that were just better, which is not factually accurate. Whether it's mental health or rights and whatnot for the LGBTQ community, and now women here, and additionally, and that's going to be a real challenge to go into various groups like we're talking about here, not just teams, but various circles, because there is still, a sentiment amongst other adults and, given men, not just the manosphere, but other men I sometimes interact with, where they don't really acknowledge that their behavior is dehumanizing others. And, seeing that in society is obviously like, we have to like combat it. And like Archeon, like you were saying, like, to have figures in society leading that. But I think the reason why it's going to be a somewhat difficult conversation is because it's like, hey, like, do you realize now that like with dating and stuff like that, like these dehumanizing things that, your grandfather or father did, those aren't really things you should be doing anymore because women aren't down for that. It's not cute. It's not boys will be boys behavior kind of thing. Right. Still seeing, violence in society of individuals who have gotten off on various charges in different states, because of the people that are around them that protect them. I don't know if you all saw that football player in Oklahoma I think it was Oklahoma, who basically had hurt two girls really badly in high school relationships. And then his dad's friend was the judge and got him off. Just absolutely sick.
I don't know anything about that.
I could try to go find the link for us, so I'm not just talking out of my ass. But I'll stop.
No, I'm not saying you're making it up. I just don't know about it.
Yeah, it's a one case thing. But the thing is that I don't know that we're at the point still of men in general acknowledging how our behavior affects other people and how various, dating things or talking about women in various ways. I think we have a long way to go for that. And that's part of the new norm that has to be a part of that is the psychological health and well-being of all people. And part of that, unfortunately, is saying, hey, you know what? Like these behaviors might have been okay in the past, but we know now for many various reasons, they're not. And, you have to kind of get with the program. It's just very, you're not, you can wash a dish. You can learn how to wash a dish. It doesn't make you less of a man. I guess that's where I'll stop there. But, yeah.
I will say that the phrase "boys will be boys." I think that's been heavily misunderstood because I think that for a long period of time, what it meant is that that boys are just more rowdy when they play and things like that, and in like there's certain behaviors that women wouldn't understand that don't harm women, but that boys are naturally going to do. And I think that unfortunately, what's up?
Let him get it out real quick.
I wouldn't understand it.
Well, like unless it was explained to you, it might look a little odd that boys like do certain things that girls might find a little bit odd. But anyway, now the main point that I want to make is that like I think that like this is what happens when there is not a whole lot of a script for men. I think this can also happen to girls too, where they get indoctrinated into online culture, because when you don't have like a clear path for like advancing in the world and identity building, you're gonna want to glob onto someone who says that they have a path for you. And I think the worst part about the manosphere is that it kind of gives the feeling of like what happens when like you have a thirsty person in the middle of the desert, and someone comes along with a giant water truck, and they don't tell you this, but the water truck has poisoned water in it. You like that person's gonna like give up all their money and everything they have to be like, oh, I just really need some water. Oh, this is gonna be so great, and they don't know what they're getting into.
Robin, do you want to jump back in?
I would just say there's probably better to try to raise healthy boys than try to fix sick men. So I think that we need to start at a very, an earlier age, making sure that we got some sort of instilled ethics in these kids.
That's a good pathway. I think we can help both ways, though. You know what I mean?
Yes,
we can help both ways.
Yeah, because we've got some that are already past. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I think that they just a lot of them have not came to terms, and a lot of it might be like the men that are older than them that are not seeing that these young boys are coming up in a different world. You know what I mean?
Really quick, guys, can we ask Tyson as well? I think Tyson, did you have something you wanted to say about it?
Yeah, I did want to add that, like, again, many of these social cultural issues do align from early developmental stages, where kids oftentimes more than not are also under their parents' tutelage and the system's tutelage. And thus, like, a lot of these problems could be prevented much earlier, just like how Robin said earlier. So it's more of a informational problem where we're having a education system that lacks the continuity to talk about these hard-hitting issues and to address them to a younger audience as well, and also guiding how they should go about learning and shaping their information around what it means to be a man or a woman.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong.
No, I interrupted Robin, but I just wanted to let you get that out because it's deeply agreeing with what Robin was saying. So thank you for letting me interrupt you, Robin.
Yeah. Oh, well said, Tyson. Well said, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, indeed. Arsion?
Yeah, and I'll just finish by saying this. After that, I'm gonna head to bed. But I'll say this. I do hope that we do have a system that guides men, because you see, the thing is, men and women are different, and we know this, and that's okay. I don't think that makes anyone worse or lesser than the other. But boys do need to feel like they have a place in the world, and I think that in a lot of our modern society, they feel a little bit displaced.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the worst people come in when they see like it's like sharks that smell blood in the water. They just come to feast, And I think that
masculinity likes to seep its way in there through porn and through social media and stuff, where they don't get that father hunger and all that other stuff we talked about that's lacking, the emotional support, the teamwork, the brotherhood. They'll look for it in places that are easy to access. And that's not where the good information is usually coming from. So
yeah, exactly. And I want men and boys to succeed, because as long as they succeed on good merits and not on hurting other people, there's no downside to it. You have healthy men that are good that can be good husbands and good fathers. And like growing up, I think it's important. But I'll conclude it there.
Thank you, sir.
I mean, perhaps we should tell men more often that if they left tomorrow and never came back, that there'd be a few people missing them. But,
yes.
I mean, seldomly do we do that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times men will say, I don't need anybody to tell me I'm doing awesome. And then they slowly kill themselves. And, this is where the teamwork comes in. Everybody should be patting each other on the shoulder and be like, good play. Everybody. That there's no reason not to do that for people that, if they make a bad play, be honest with them. But if they make a good play, you should tell them that. So
yes. But I would just like to say that, like Thomas, like I said, Thomas would be one of my picks for a role model, and he's not a husband or a father. So, and I think he's still one of the greatest men I know. So.
Well, thank you. I'm a bit non-binary, but I'll take the man label.
Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, well, that's all right.
That's okay.
I don't know.
I'm not hard on it. I've never been like obsessed with the whole gender thing. I'll just be whatever I need to be in the moment. I'm just Thomas, and I know that's the big people say like, oh no, you can't do that. You got to choose a gender. Well, too bad.
You can be the role model for both of them then.
There you go.
Girls and
Perfect.
boys. There you go.
The best role models are usually universal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I appreciate the compliment very much. Love you for saying that. Thank you. So we lost our main manosphere guy, Arcion. Brett, did you have anything else to say on that?
Just
To put you on the spot a little bit?
not to like repeat it too much, but to
That's okay.
just re-emphasize what I said earlier, that you know, you don't need to change the world. You can start with your community, and you know, just realizing that you're going to be imperfect with stuff. Like Robin said, things have changed in the last 50 years, and different realizations that groups of people are having. But yeah, at the end of it, also to have compassion, because you know, people can only do what systems they're built into. They're born into. And then given, you know, exposure to various ideas like we do on here, and trying to talk people through it. And I want to be really clear on something, just because I know that at times I can come off as condescending. I don't want to do that at all. I really like shaming people and shit like that just does not help, right? And teamwork and a very aspect, kind of like Arcion was saying earlier, is definitely necessary. I guess I just get concerned with the fact that, you know, sometimes in human conversations, people are like, oh, that isn't harmful, that, you know, saying that to another person or acting that way. And when boys get in groups, I did it in high school. I know I bullied some other boys just because I didn't want to be the bullied. And we did it in groups because people felt powerful. But to acknowledge those group dynamics to be better groups, right? To actually help themselves and others continually, like you would in sports, but not for like reward, but just for the benefit of the feelings of, you know, being a good person, and like, you know, working on some goals together that help yourself and your communities and such. You know, when you get into a community anywhere, like I was recently traveling and just seeing groups of communities that were like, people were listening to music, and they were, you know, there was food there, and everyone was talking to one another, and the socialization, it was really beautiful. I think we know it when we see it, but it's sometimes, you know, how do you foster that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll stop there.
No, you're good. Like on the high school bullying and stuff. I mean, that's a problem of the entire pattern itself, as in, if those boys were getting recognition at home from their friends, having boundaries set, them like, hey, don't do that. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff, instead of falling. But it's almost like impossible to do it in like a mid-range. You know what I mean? It's like you either have to target it within the group, or it has to be a whole sea change for that. But I will hope that trolling and bullying and all that stuff is better than we were in school in the 90s. You know what I mean? So you're in high school all the time. You can tell us. Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, bullying kind of takes the form of more cyberbullying these days, where people kind of kill themselves because people don't know how to let up. But
yeah, and that's where I would say to any young person, if they were listening, is like, hey, I'm just going to say this, and you can explore this as you want, but your worth is innate. I don't care what size your body is, what human form you were born into and whatnot. Like, just for you, like existing, like you said, Thomas, kind of alluding to earlier, like, we're glad you're here. We welcome you. Like, you are as you are, and all of the things like sexuality, and, you know, your race and the country you live in, and you know, if you're in a given religion and you're being told that you have to do things, but like that is, you know, it's basically putting you down, like some religions do with women, for example. I would just say to the person fundamentally, like, I see you, you are beautiful, you know, you're a work in progress. Just, you know, love yourself and the person in the mirror. And doing good is very, like, it sometimes is difficult, but you know, there are people to talk to if you need support, like you were saying earlier, Tyson. Like, I very much talk to my students every single day about, if you see someone, like, you know, online degrading other people, like, don't just report that shit, but just know that you're like this person is clearly hurting. You know, people hurt others because they have been hurt, not always, but to some degree. That's
Beautifully
a big
well
part of
said,
it, and it
Yeah.
just reverberates from that center, from everyone. The pain does. And remember, caring about somebody means validation. It means loving. It means being that interdependence where, you know, hey, I'm a whole person, you're a whole person. I'm not trying to collapse you into me kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's not permissiveness of everything, right? You can set boundaries. You can tell them like, hey, that's not cool. Don't do that, right? I really don't appreciate you doing that. Don't do that. Like that kind of stuff is included in caring about somebody. Because a lot of it in high school is like, okay, piss off, I don't care. Right?
Well, like, yeah, I mean, like a large portion of it, in my opinion, kind of comes from this, like to expand upon my indoctrination point earlier. Like we as a species, oftentimes will make ideology, make belief systems primarily to correspond with groups, and when we do this, we tend to sometimes create enemies and common goals to achieve objectives. And living in a country where you can have multitudes of these cultures, I've seen at least many cases of people hurting, suppressing, or alienating one segment of the population against other segments of the population. And from my experience, at least, I think a large portion of these of bullying, the manosphere, or people falling to the alt right or the radical left, is primarily because people do not have the tools to seek truth and love simultaneously.
Bingo. Well said. Moloch, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I tried to bring this up the other day, and I feel like it was like misconstrued or something. But like, I might be off. Like, we're still talking about feminism, correct? And like all that
Yeah,
stuff.
anything you want. This is a free form. Anything you want. I'm about to go smoke a cigarette.
Well,
too.
don't do that, because I want to throw a grenade on this. No, but I'll stick with the topic. So
Okay.
I think that there's this thing that happens when I was growing up where like males encourage other males to perform their sexuality, especially if it's heteronormative. So
Yep.
like there's this bad thing that happens, like lack of a better word, like toxic, if you will, thing that happens where, because the man, the growing male, like, you know, 15, like college, you know, high school age or younger even, feels pressured to be cool and like hook up with said person. It like it creates like a bad toxic environments, right?
I hear you on that. Yeah.
I grew up around that kind of shit, you know, like the over and over again. Like you weren't a somebody unless you hooked up with, you know, this person or that person. You know?
That's a big thing in school for sure. And that's the pressure that me and Arcion and Robin were kind of going over earlier about that. You know, not just pressured for sports, pressured to immediately have sexual conquest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like the other thing too is like, the other thing I think about a lot is like sex education. I think Travis was touching on this yesterday.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's very important.
So the younger you are aware of like sexuality, the like less likely you are to be a victim of a perpetrator. Like, it's just statistically true.
Yeah, healthy teaching of sex is always a good idea. I mean, like,
sex positive, yeah.
I don't know if we were to look at the medical literature and see like exactly what the perfect age is, but I mean, it should always be able to be talked about. Like, if a boy comes up to his mom or his dad at 7 or 8 years old and asks these questions, we should have resolution to answers at that level for them about it. You know what I mean? And not like the stork brought it kind of stuff, but like serious, like sexual education.
Yeah, you can teach sex like pretty young in a way that isn't that's age appropriate. In other words,
yeah, it's what I mean. Yeah, the resolution. I use that word, but yes, exactly.
And then get more involved in like consent and that kind of stuff. Like when you're well, blah blah blah. Yeah, but like we don't teach consent like appropriately in a scholastic setting, and I think that that's like super harmful.
So nowadays they have a model called FRIES. I can't remember the exact acronym, FRIES, and it's a full model of consent. pretty much
Ooh.
around everything, but specifically also around sex and sexual acts and things like that. I'll look it up here in a second if we need to go over it, but please go look it up yourself. It's called Fries. And
Yeah, definitely.
it's extremely important. And I think all children need to be taught Fries. I think I'll look it up in just a second. I'm outside, so I'm going to say that.
But like, because like this thing happens where, like I don't mean to always pick on conservatives, but like they're just the villains. This thing happens where, like, because we have to talk about gender queer, like, I don't know, Destiny touches on this sometimes, but it's like, because the conversation is so far away from where it should be, like the battle's not in the right places, right? So like, because we have to talk about like book banning genderqueer, we don't get to talk about like consent in school. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
like I don't know if that's how purposeful that is or intentional. Like, I don't know, but it's like, the more, yeah, I don't know. And then that's the other weird thing is like, are you familiar with like purity culture, you guys? Or like, sorry if I'm like over talking.
I'm very familiar with purity culture. It goes both ways, both in
It's
conservative
fucking dark. Like, if you really break that down, it's like pretty dark. Like in terms of like,
yeah. How dare you be an imperfect piece of shit kind of scenarios going down.
Well, it's also like you're making a promise to your like father not to fuck anyone else. Horrible. That's weird.
Kind of
like,
weird, yeah. Kind of
why does the patriarch get to control your sexuality? Like,
I mean,
it just goes back to the idea that I was property of my father's until I got married, and then I became my husband's property.
I really think that shit.
Robin's not wrong. I mean, like, a lot of men that like hate on feminism do not know the origins of feminism and where it came from. Like, women had a fucking dark time in history.
Well, yeah,
we were
up until like 1920.
We had arranged marriages and shit like that for years, and like you didn't get to pick who you wanted to marry, and you know what I mean. And still, like, even the ideal, which I think it's it's nice and everything, but we still kind of practice it with that, going to your dad and asking for your hand in marriage and that kind of stuff. All of that goes back to a time when the woman that didn't actually have any right to be.
Yeah, she was a dowry. She was a program.
Was a dowry, yeah, and she was property until she became property of her husband. And
I mean,
but so like there was something I was going to say. Just go ahead.
I mean, do you think it's ironic though that we are biologically not necessarily even juxtaposed, like, to lean towards the position of hierarchically taking monogamy? Is what I find hilarious among it.
I mean, it works for some people. It doesn't work for others, you know.
Well, monogamy. The thing about monogamy is monogamy has been shown. It actually, when you allow polygamy in a society, there's so much more like upheaval.
Yeah, but polygamy is different than
rich, like the man who has the most resources, the rich, man or whatever has the most resources. If he has like these multiple wives, he will end up with all these different wives, and that will lead to where a lot of men do not have a mate.
Yeah, but Robin, it's not a binary. It's not. It's not like.
I mean, I've studied this. This is pretty much why
I know, but you're
eliminated.
You're conflating.
Huh?
You're conflating terms. Like polygamy is different than like ethical non-monogamy or like just even poly stuff. Like it's a different thing, right?
Well, I mean, polygamy and monogamy are two different things. Yeah, but I'm talking.
No. Polygamy and poly are different things. I don't know if you're
correct about polyamory, but like
there's a linguistic issue here.
Yeah. No, but it's not just linguistic. It's like
you were not talking about polygamy. You were talking about polyamorous or whatever. Okay.
I mean,
yeah. Polygamy is definitely like a matriarchal thing, or excuse me, a patriarchal thing, right? But polygamy is explicitly like guy gets all the girls because he's the powerful one, like obviously.
Yeah.
Right. But you can have a gender neutral or like a egalitarian version of that, and it's like probably fine.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, but real quick, also, Dragon, did you have something to say? You unmuted a second ago. I wanted to make sure that you're heard if you would like to say it.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I agree with having answers for children to, what makes sense for questions of sex as, young children, like, for what makes sense to tell them at a younger age. Because I think by not sharing things, I mean, even from the Christian perspective, like, I wish I was, like, told certain things earlier. And also, like, I'm 30, so like my parents didn't really understand pornography in the digital age and stuff, but that's something that I accidentally stumbled upon when I was 10. I wasn't looking for it at all, but like I think having these conversations, and of course people have different viewpoints on point of view when it comes to sex, but like, according to what morality you want to teach, it is good to have something to tell children when they're young and kind of raise them, in a good point of view.
I hear you. I think it is good for that education. I didn't want to interrupt Robin and Moloch with the monogamy argument, but I just want to make sure you were heard.
But like, hold on, just
Yeah,
really quick.
thanks, man.
But just to expound on,
in different ways. I mean, monogamy goes all the way back to when we first discovered agriculture.
yeah, but
And
like,
it's more beneficial
it
then.
wasn't the only way the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, for sure not. Like,
Well, yeah, true. I
like,
mean, polygamy takes its form in many Eastern cultures, for instance.
yeah, but polygamy is, hold on, just really, like, just, I know it's not nitpicky, but like, polygamy is a different thing than polyamory. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like,
I was just using it as a contrast.
oh yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's not a binary. It's not one or the other,
Polygamy is about, for the audience, polygamy is about marriage, yes? Because Robin, you can correct me. Polygamy, marriage, and polyamory is just multiple sexual partners, yes?
No,
Okay,
I
tell me the
disagree.
difference. Tell me the
I heard
difference.
it. I would interpret polygamy to be like one-sided towards the male. So like if you look at like Mormon sects that like are polygamous, but they're not necessarily like, ooh, this is difficult. This is tricky. So
I mean, also marriage historically was classified in a different way than it is now.
okay, another way to look at it is a polyamorous relationship doesn't have to be polygamous, but a polygamous relationship, I guess, is polyamorous, if that makes sense. So like polygamy would be like man has 3 wives, the 3 wives don't get to fuck each other, or like it's in service of the man. Like polygamy is like explicitly how do you say it, like patriarchal, if you will, like lack of a better word, I don't know.
Okay.
That is true
One
of
would
the
say
term polygyny with the Y is particularly suited to the male. Polygyny. Polygamy is either sex.
Yeah, you can have,
but like
you can have
name
multiple. I forgot about
yeah,
that.
I mean, sure, but like I'm just saying, like in a lot of those cults or whatever, it it I guess what I'm just saying is like it suggests that it's a one-sided, like
You're just arguing against the binary of you don't use a binary, be a little bit more spectrum based, yes?
yeah, but like how do you say this? Like even if it's like a female cult leader, which does exist, like, and she's like abusing her like followers, like it's still like they're not like, how do you say this?
I mean, they're not. It's not always a cult. I mean,
Well, I know, I'm just
historically,
using an example. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm correct. I'm pretty sure I'm correct.
That's okay.
yes.
It's a good
No, I'm contesting. You're correct. I was just trying to say that like it's been used in marriage systems, kind of like with high rulers and the elite
Yeah,
for like centuries.
yeah. Like, again, Mormons are the best example, right? Like, you can have like multiple wives, but like they can't have like how dare them have other husbands or other wives, right? Like that kind of thing. Like, see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but
I know that was what I thought I was talking. I thought you were talking about what ago was polygamy. Like the thing about it is it causes a lot of disturbance in society because with polygamy there are men who do not end up with wives, and so this causes a lot of there's a lot of like fighting
disorganization
and aggression, and stuff. And this is why, this is probably, like I've stated this before, this is probably one of the main reasons why that generally most of society has eliminated the legality of polygamy.
Yeah.
Because of that very reason right there, that it causes that there is a constant upheaval of like in aggressive males who could not find a mate and so that, and things like that. So it results in very bad consequences on society.
Yeah, but can you come up with an example of polygamy where it's consensual? Sorry if I'm interrupting. Excuse me.
I mean, if you go back, I'm just saying, Malik, if you go back and study the history of polygamy and stuff, and things, there's a whole lot of like, literature on this. I mean, like, I don't have any of it on me right now, but I've studied this in the past because I never thought about it. Like, it explained it.
Do you know David Koresh?
Polygamy is actually beneficial to women. It actually is. I mean, like,
hold on.
Because
in a way, yeah. But
in a way, man, I'm going to tell you what the answer is. Like,
okay,
it's beneficial to women because it divides up the job
labor
responsibilities, the child care, and things like that. And so women actually benefit.
No,
they actually benefit in a polygamous society somewhat.
But they don't because no. I think it's usually
okay.
Like,
well, okay.
Hold on. Can I go?
Yeah.
Sorry, Robin. I know I'm being sassy. Okay, so, like, I would argue that it can open up relationships to abuse because they're not like in a polygamous relationship. It's pretty explicitly expected that like one of the rules is that like the wives can't like have other partners. It's just to the benefit of the male. Like not like it doesn't have to be the male, whatever. But I'm just saying like it's to the benefit of one person, and then the other 3 or 2 or 8 like can't interact with each other in the same way. See what I'm saying?
I mean, I agree with that. There's not usually that kind of a polygamy situation, but I'm just saying, as general, that is why, like,
it's like 90% of it
are better. No, I'm not saying that they should.
No, it's not though, Robin. But it's not fair.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they're.
I mean, Native American tribes, there is like a lot of like communal situations where it's just the tribe's children. Hands down.
I just want to do the definitions right real quick. Was it polygamy is the practice of having multiple spouses at the same time? Somebody earlier said yes. There's polygyny, which is the most common form of polygamy globally, where a man is married to more than one woman simultaneously. Polyandry, a much rarer form where a woman is married to more than one man at the same time. And then group marriage, where multiple husbands and wives are all married to each other simultaneously. Is it polyamory is the same thing except for any consensual informed multi-partnership that isn't involving marriage. That's it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm still mostly right. Like I don't know. Like it open like do you know what I mean though, Robin? Like it opens up like it works in the sense of like how the hierarchy is, which isn't necessarily bad, but then it's not fair to the wives or husbands that they can't have express their sexuality in certain ways because it's forbidden by the dynamic, right? Like, it's really bad.
I'm just talking about historically the reason why it was pretty much eliminated from society was because of the fact that it resulted in such aggression in society amongst men.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
It's like David Koresh. Are you familiar with this guy? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just I was going to go on a huge tirade, but I decided to filter myself.
Competition takes its form in like any system of marriage or spousal. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's like a mutually assured problem. That's the thing.
Well, okay, so like cult. Sorry to go back to it, but like a lot of examples are cult leaders. So like David Koresh used to just like hey, like that's your wife. Well, she's now mine because I'm the prophet guy.
I'm aware of that one.
There's a lot of like guys that do that shit. Like all the prophet Mormon guys like all do that thing where it's like oh, like you're married to this woman. Well, too bad because now she's mine. Like that. Horrible.
because God's into it.
Cults are pretty much always harmful.
Yeah, I agree, but then it's like, what's a religion? You know, I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a difference between a cult and a religion. I think that
It's just numbers, really.
in a cult, the religious leader is alive, and in a religion, usually the religious leader is dead. So, but
I believe we went over this a while ago. I mean, the difference between cult and religion is, typically it's on a scale. Like what is a cult and what isn't a cult is like on a slider between, does it limit its members in X amount of ways? Does it excommunicate its members, etc.?
Bike model. The bike model.
In a vacuum, I think I'm cult neutral, but like in reality, I'm not. Like okay, okay. This is a. Are you ready for this? This is where Travis. Okay, so Travis has this thing where he's like well-being, right? But then to me, it's like autonomy sometimes can like. I don't know if I value autonomy over well-being, but I think I might sometimes. And a really bad example is like the Heaven's Gate guys. Like, if a group of them want to kill themselves because they like think they're gonna go on a comet or whatever, like kind of have at it. Like, I'm sorry. Like is that bad? Is that horrible?
Like, I mean, it's up to you if you really want to preserve your autonomy. I mean, there's a saying, die standing than kneeling.
Sure, but I'm just saying, like,
go for it, my brother. I don't care too much.
If it's Jim Jones, that's bad because it's like you're forcing children to like poison themselves, right? But like if you're the cult guy, if you're that group that like the Heaven's Gate people, like I don't really think that that's that like bad relative to other cults, like or like even like all right, you all want to kill yourselves, whatever.
I mean, I prefer my autonomy for like my general well-being to a certain extent. So I mean, I understand you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what makes Heaven Gate bad, and I mean, I personally think that suicide is bad in general, and of course you're bringing up the consent side, but the problem is that while they believe that, these individuals did not have true informed consent because the cult leaders were lying to them about what would happen.
But the cult leaders thought it though. But that's the thing.
Some of them.
Have you ever seen the document? Wait, hold on. Just kind of pivot, but on topic. Have you ever seen the documentary on like the like what's her name, Mother God lady? Are you familiar with this lady?
No, I'm not familiar.
So she had this like, she was this girl who was like kind of pretty troubled. And then she like kind of ran away from her abusive boyfriend and all this stuff, and then like it was probably in a manic episode and like started a cult of like maybe like I don't know, like 30 people, right? And definitely like wrong about everything. But like towards the end of her life, like she was drinking like Loyal Little Silver and like doing all the stuff, and like the cult members really thought, and she probably really thought that like she was gonna go into, ascend into like the aliens are gonna take her or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, she doesn't want to be hospitalized. She doesn't like. It's a great documentary. You should watch it. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like have at it, right? Like. like it in a way, like getting her on the right psych meds, and like this is a dark conversation. But like at what point can you intervene and show she's sane again? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that though we have to protect. Like, we have to realize that humans can become like make bad decisions and get in a mind state to where they're not able to evaluate good things. And I know that everybody deserves a measure of autonomy, But I think we do have to kind of decide as a society how far we're going to let that go without intervening and trying to bring that person back where they understand what is actually going on.
No, but that's what we agree
Like,
to, though.
I
as
don't
a
think we should just
society.
let people just destroy themselves.
But we do, though,
like
all the time.
Well, I know we do, but I think that we owe, I think we owe people. I mean, like, I'm not saying that people, like, I think if somebody is like, is in a good state of mind and is like in pain or something like that, I think that they have the right to choose to not be here. I do believe that. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think that, but I think that we don't need to let them make it necessarily from a place where they're not fully functioning.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I mean, I guess
really
something.
quick, finish up real Moloch, and then let's let Brett jump in. Yeah, right after this. Go ahead.
Oh, is it my turn? Or I forgot.
No, yeah, finish up real quick, and then let Brett jump in.
So, like,
and then Jack.
the better way to put it is if you're already like if you're stage 4 cancer, like, it's different if you smoke than like it's context dependent, right? Like, for me, it's like if you're gonna die no matter what, and you want to smoke a cigarette, like, have at it, which is different than like, stage 1 or something like that, right? Like,
I mean, there is a point to that. I mean, there's hospice, for instance, where they give you all the drugs so you can die nicely.
Yeah, is that true?
Right, let Brett jump in real quick.
Sorry.
I would say that, I don't know if it's been mentioned earlier when I was out for a minute, but a point to this that I think is relevant is, I think for a lot of people, they have grown up in various environments where any other alternative has been, ultimately not as accessible as they need it to be in order to get away from. Well, let me explain.
Okay.
So essentially, whether it's abuse in household, whether it's a kid growing up with alcoholic or drug addicted parents, but they have, the state can take them away to foster care kind of thing. Yeah. Then as adults with communities like religions and other stuff to break away or various places, housing's not free. Food is not free. If you're a single mother with 2 kids and you're in a relationship with a shitty man but you can't go get a job because you're taking care of the kids.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You can go divorce and stuff like that, but society doesn't really operate in a way to like offer various necessities to people to be able to get out of various things like that, because some people will, whether it's an excuse valid or not, they'll then go to say, well, even if I wanted to do this or go do that or whatever, I don't have a place to live, or I don't have the resources to do these things, or in many people's cases, right? If Thomas could elaborate ever, on the people who are really truly suffering from mental distress disorders and, things where they need deep therapy and stuff that is not cheap. For the other portion of the population that simply needs to have another alternative that would cost money and resources they don't have, literally leaving their family if their family is in one of the religions that is super oppressive, like we were talking about, and doing all those things, people don't see those things as viable. And then like Snowdrop is saying in the chat too, back to our conversation about men earlier, many men prove time and time again that they don't take no well. And so what, their abusive ways or whatever else it might be, that's a
you can curve that though.
That has to change.
No, sorry if you were.
I was just going to say real quick, everybody in the room, Moloch is not trying to interrupt. He just, do you agree with me? It's a bit pressured sometimes. You'd be like, you kind of jump in a little bit. You're not really.
Yeah, it's an ADD thing.
Yeah, it's a tick. It's totally okay. Right after y'all get done, let's let Jack jump in, and then we'll open the room back up again, because I think Jack
basically, this is why I say I'm okay with my taxes going to universal health care, to damn near free housing if possible, to various things of psychology and psychologists and therapy for people in society, because these are things that are barriers because of profit, and I think that only opening them could only help things, but it's a whole nother.
I got you.
Stop there.
Yeah. Good point. Moloch, do you want to respond, and then we're going to ask Jack if he's got something to say, because I think he had something to say.
Yeah, I just really quick, like male insecurity around like women in particular could absolutely be curved if they were just like if their social expectations were different. I guess that's all I want to say.
I hear you. All right, Jack, jump in.
I don't really have a whole fucking lot for here. Mostly just individual specific things that I've already commented on as we were kind of going along the conversation or whatever. My main points were making sure that we got definitions right earlier, which we did. And yeah, I don't have anything extra on this particular topic.
Okay, it was more about the old stuff. I got you.
Yeah.
Robin and Tyson.
Well, I suppose like at the end of the day, I think Brett hit all of the points on the head there. Because yes, at the end of the day, we do not operate in a vacuum. We are agents that are constrained by conditions in our environment, and no amount of thinking otherwise can constrain that or undo that fact. So we have to work within reforming the system to allow us to have more options available to people in bad conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I understand the point and I like it.
Yeah. I agree with Red on that entirely. Looks like Moloch left us. I don't know if he had to go and do something, but he was the catalyst for a moment. So in general, Robin, did you finish all your points on feminism earlier? Because I think you got cut off earlier as well on that.
I mean, I think most people know what feminism here is. They know it's like I said, but I know there are some feminists who try to speak feminism that are not what I would, and like I guess they can call themselves whatever they want. But I think most actual feminists are not extreme crazy women who hate men. I don't hate men. Like, in fact, most of my social group has always been men, actually. But
would you consider yourself more of a woman's right activist or a feminist? I don't know the terminology here very well in these categories. So
I mean, no, because I think feminism really, my definition and the kind of was just is about choice. So I mean, and I hate to say women's rights activists because then it sounds like that I'm not worried about men's rights,
right?
And that's
right.
not true either. Like, I don't think that men should lose. Like, I don't want to take any rights away from men either. I'm not trying to downgrade men, and
some of the manosphere is fighting against feminism idea. You know what I mean? Go ahead, guys. Sorry.
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest issues. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Jack.
It's okay.
They kind of made feminism into this boogeyman.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, no, I think that the main difference between, or like in what's going on with feminism is the same thing that's going on with a lot of other social movements that are happening right now. A lot of men are pushing back against feminism, and they're getting confused about the role that they're having, and which is why they're pushing back. Feminism seems to be trying to, just like any other social movement right now, make women equal, not in just the eyes of the law, but the eyes of like our zeitgeist and how we operate in things. It leaves men in a really weird position because they've been stuck under one paradigm, which is become a provider, work really hard, and you'll get a wife. And which is that's not the only thing capable of, or that's not the only like main reason you get a mate or a person anymore. It makes it to where it feels like people are losing rights or losing privileges when in reality the playing board is being equaled out. So when people who were in more power end up getting equaled out, they feel like it's a part of oppression, which happens in very many social spheres.
Yeah, and I would add to that sometimes if I'm having a conversation with a person who is unaware of women, like basically women's rights in history, it's kind of staggering how a lot of people are unaware about how many times women have been viewed less than men, even in the modern day of many countries, right? Of various countries we could examine, right?
Yeah.
And that implication there that Jack's mentioning, okay, yeah, change is scary, and there's certain things that have to adapt. Now we're dealing with AI and jobs and climate change and various other things as well. But the goodness and the desire to do good with others and to create community is still there. It's just that portion of feminism asks the whole population, not just men, but the whole population, to consider what's happened in history and where half the species at times has just flat out not been treated equally to the other half. And then, of course, a person will go down the road of what's the word equal? We're not all equal. No one's equal in society, which just, I think people do it tangentially on purpose because they're scared of having a real conversation. They definitely are in those circles we've been talking about in the algorithm. And also the fact too that, like, you know, more women are going to college and less men are, historically. And that weird, you know, that weirdness of dating, or, you know, like you were saying, Jack, with jobs and stuff like that, there has to be some sort of, I don't want to say transition, but there has to be some sort of, you know, slowing down and having these conversations.
Integration, maybe?
You know, integration slash, you know, not dehumanizing others, and looking at the various industries, because we're going to have to do that with AI. We are already having to do that with AI, right? Yep. And so then with the various industries and stuff like that, you know, it really, there has to be more of a focus on the idea of, like, where are we and where do we want to go so that humans thrive? And let's not kid ourselves, where whether it's workers' rights or women's rights or people who in various countries throughout history have been marginalized, right? But also the general population as a whole, housing, food, healthcare, resources, etc. Yeah, that's you're a
good.
lot of Chan's my point.
No, it's a lot of good stuff. Robin?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm not trying to, like, point at any man and say you need to look back and see. Like, I'm not trying to, like, place the blame on men or expect them to take accountability for the past. Like, I you know what I mean? Like, that's not, like, I just think that everybody needs to understand that even if you are a man or a woman, that there, you know, nobody owes you to grow up and become. You don't just get, like, by default get a partner. That's, you know what I mean? And I think that's why I said, like, Jack was, I agree with Jack what he said about about how these roles are changing. That's what I said earlier, and I feel like that it's just thrown a lot of men into a position to where they're coming of age and they don't know what is expected of them. They do not know, what am I supposed to do now that I'm an adult? Because this is what I thought my life was going to be like. I would grow up, get out of school, get married, and have kids, and then it doesn't work out that way, and so they're lost.
Go ahead, Jack.
This happens with generational issues in general. The prior generation generally parents their kids to exist in the world that they lived in instead of being proactive and finding out what world they're going to inherit. This creates a disconnect, not just with men, but with everybody. But yeah, no, whenever any kind of social movement goes to push over the precipice of oppression into equality, it seems like everybody that believes that they had those qualities before of being above those people are being oppressed. It's just a reversal of roles, like Robin was saying. Reversal, a contemporary, like, coming together of roles.
That's a great point, Jack. And I think that if I were to add on to it, of, like, going with that train of thought, that's kind of why I say that something like housing, at some point, basic housing has to be a fundamental human right, like the United Nations, like the United Nations said after World War II in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25. Like, it's just, like, there's such a mindset of scarcity and other, you know, economic or political terms you could use, where people just, you know, oh yeah, like, you have to go buy housing. If you don't get housing, you're not paying for it. That's a you problem. All these other things. That's just, to me, is just insane. It's just like, housing is an artificial problem. created by those who want to perpetuate not even basic necessities, but to say, no, like if you want to own this property in a various, like way in society, this is the only way it can function. It's like, clearly not. Humanity has gone through many phases of how housing has been applied and, what it looked like in different realms. But I just think that you can't, when people are so dependent on really crappy jobs at times and the stretch thin of, two people both working and raising kids right and all that stuff. And the one that I talk to a lot of older, people over like usually like 60 plus about is the mythology of, oh, I just bought the house because I didn't, eat avocado toast. It's like, look, dude, I think you were alluding to this, Jack. We're not in that same reality. It's not cool to gaslight the 20s and 30s and 40s people who go into various markets and they're outpriced in housing for so many various reasons. And we're talking about a basic necessity, right? Of a steady place to live.
I agree entirely that housing and food are basic human rights. And the problem with like the language of housing is people think, oh, you want a house in a middle class neighborhood. How about just a place to live? I mean, I've lived in poverty for a long time, and just having like a room is fine with me. You know what I mean?
Without sound issues, without major crime, like just simple stuff. Like that would it'd be amazing what humans could accomplish by living in those kind of environments where crime was controlled and so was, sound, whatever else it might be. Sorry, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, you're good. And then Robin.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to get into. Go ahead.
I was going to say, me and my first husband, when we bought our first house.
Shit, I remembered. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jack.
I was basically, I might have been alluding to what you were about to get at, but there's this trend that was going around online, essentially, of people in the 19 years old going up to people in like their 60s and being like, hey, when you get your first house, how much did it cost you? And there were a lot of different responses. A bunch of them were, that's not your business, get away from me. Leave me alone, don't need to know that. And then a couple other ones were incredibly. My house for like $18,000. Oh, I bought my house for $22,000. Oh, I bought my house for like $15,000. Oh, I actually built my house and it cost me like $27,000. And it's like, you assholes are telling us to not eat avocado toast?
Yeah.
It's not even the same ballpark. It's not the same game. We're playing on fucking super extra hard mode. And you guys are going, well, it was a lot easier when things were uneasy. It's like, no shit. But it was. Things were fucking excellent for you.
And see, so to the point Robin was saying earlier about being careful on not wanting to shame for stuff in the past, a little bit of historical knowledge would show people that part of what happened with the United States in the 20th century, right? Number one, was emerging from World War II as one of the only countries on earth not scathed from all that warfare, right? And top that off with the tax rates of the wealthiest in the country, which now today you sound like a witch when you want to say stuff like that in front of Congress. Like, who should be paying the most taxes in society and where that money goes, right? Like, you would just know that era was a good era, but it wasn't just because of the ethics of people or whatever. It really was like an economy on steroids. And you then see, like, from the 70s onward, like, wages not keeping pace with inflation, right? Jobs being sent to other countries because, quote unquote capitalism. And so it just, even though you still have jobs and stuff people can do and careers and, cars are expensive and housing is expensive, stuff like that. It's just the thing of to say, like, hey, we need to acknowledge a shared reality here. But it's hard for a person who owns 10 properties to be like, well, I earned all this and this is all you have to do to not be poor is just own and rent properties. It's like, this is what you're saying on YouTube to young people, to some of the people who go on there. It's like, hey, you know why you're poor? You don't own property.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
What I was,
most of the people don't earn a fucking thing.
Hey, really
like
quick,
most,
your phone is kind of breaking up just a touch every now and then. We're losing a word every now and then, so, or maybe a couple of words. So,
thank you. I will keep that in mind.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, like, we paid $32,500 for a 3-bedroom brick home when we got married. Like, our payment was $200 and some dollars. I will say that I would say that there's nowhere you could buy a home at like that price. But I did go to South Dakota like during COVID and buy a house for $29,900. So, but it was very old and I had to do a lot of work on it. So, but like, unless you want to move to somewhere like where it stays like 40 below zero. Yeah, 40 below zero a lot of the winter. Then you
Montana maybe.
you might not ever find a home that cheap. Like my mom was like, oh, there's a house for $29,900 right across the street, and but you can't buy anything you can't buy anything for like what me and Chad bought. A nice little house. It was a little brick house, and it was a nice little house. It was pretty new, and it was like a FHA house or whatever, but it had 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and and it was a nice house. And it probably is over $100,000 house now.
Yep. Go ahead.
See,
Brett.
that's from my limited research, but also just exposure to different people online and various channels and whatnot. From a quote unquote conservative economic standpoint, that is one of the talking points. Just move to where you can afford, which is just insane, right? It's like uproot from all of your family. You no longer get to buy property in this anywhere that you would have called recognizable, right? And just go move to the other state, in the middle of Tornado Alley or in the Dakotas. Like there's a whole, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the videos on YouTube about maps and stuff, but there's a whole north to south line from like the middle of the Dakotas all the way down to like Kansas and whatnot, where nobody lives for like 100 miles because of the terrible weather in this section. Do you know what I'm talking about, Robin? Like it's literally
It's like where I was in I can't even think of the name right now. There was a little bitty old town, like pretty close to Minnesota, but it was way up north but it was so cold. I remember when I went up there, those guys were like, where are you from? And I was like, Kentucky. And they said, you're gonna freeze to death up here. And I was like, oh, I like cold weather. And they said, you haven't ever even been in cold weather. And they were right. Yeah. They were so right. But and Kentucky is, and like I'm lucky too. Kentucky's a fairly cheap place to live too. And, and I will say though, I don't think that I know what I was making at the time when we bought that house. And I don't think that minimum wage or whatever has actually increased by hardly anything since.
I don't think it's. I mean, like big companies like Walmart and stuff like that don't pay minimum wage anymore. But minimum wage is still $7.25. Yes, as far as I know.
Yeah, and I was making. That's what I was making, like $7.
It depends on if you look at federal or state by state. But that's part of the issue too. Is the state by state. Like I don't remember what it exactly was, but if you go search like what does the modern minimum wage need to look like in every state for someone to afford like a basic 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment? Oh, it's insane. I think it might even
$25 an hour across most of the states.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
In California, it's like.
So do we know how much like the average 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, maybe 2 to 3 bedroom house cost for a family? I don't know.
Well, it depends. I'm paying rent right now, and I've got a 3-bedroom house in Arizona in Tempe, and it's $2,270 a month.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is a lot for that. Good thing you're splitting it, yes?
But, I could not afford this bitch.
Me either, bro. Me either. But in general, I mean, like that like housing in middle class neighborhoods, $200,000-$300,000 for just a standard house these days. Am I off there? Because I don't know this kind of stuff very well.
And in my historical neighborhood, where every house is made out of brick, and that's 90% of what people want out here. Yeah, we're sitting at like $300,000 to $350,000 an average.
insane.
Well, I'm getting ready to sell mine, and so you can come if you want to live in Kentucky. You can come and get a pretty nice house, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, but it's got hardwood floors for about $175,000. It's got a rental house on it. So,
Oh
yeah.
boy, Kentucky!
Advertisement. Travis.
Yo.
I do believe we have come full circle.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I showed up at the perfect moment.
Perfect time. Absolutely perfect timing. Yes, indeed. We've just gone through so many things, and then housing was the end of it. Cherry on top.
Everything leads back to housing, doesn't it?
I was advertising my house.
She was.
Yes, I was joking. Everyone should want to live in Kentucky because everyone should want to buy Robin's house.
Right.
Come on, Travis. You need an American property. You need an American property there,
I
Travis.
specifically need a Kentucky property that has been lived in by the old witch, and I mean that in a historical sense, herself, Robin Webster.
Yeah.
Trav, what about a house right next to the Ark? Like, what if we could get you
Oh boy.
a big house? Like, you could hear the animatronic dinosaurs being ridden by people.
Yeah.
That'd be a great lullaby.
Oh, dude. Oh my God, that's so
They
fucking
had another
amazing.
tornado there today, but I think the Ark is still there.
Are you just praying for it to like tear it to pieces, Robin? I know you.
Because I figured I actually would have been far too afraid. I would have prayed anyway, but I would have been far too afraid that there would be people in it.
Right. What would make you laugh though is if it rained like hella crazy there one day, and they're like, the Ark due to flooding.
God. It already did flood.
No, but I think I think the funnier script is if there was some kind of big flood that rushed in and then it floated fine.
It can't float. It's concrete.
Way that fucker would float. It's built like shit. There's no way that fucker would float.
It's not a boat.
Wait, are you telling? Wait a second.
Jump in here, guys.
What? Just 1 second. 1 second though.
Okay.
Are you all trying to tell me that place is a fraud? I would have never believed that. Now I've got everything.
Go ahead, Dragon.
Oh, my bad. I was going to say, fuck the Ark. Just a big box.
Yeah, actually, guys, instead of sending kids to libraries, zoos, and museums, just send the 6th graders there because they can learn biology, they can learn mythology, they can learn it all together, right?
They are sending them there, Benson. They are.
Yeah,
let's guys, let's let Slayer go real quick. Guys, let's let Slayer go real quick. Go ahead, Slayer.
Oh, thank you. I was just going to say earlier, we were talking about minimum wage and how inflation has changed and all this stuff. My friend was bringing up to me the other day how they had based the poverty line is what the average family spent on food, and you times that by 4, and that was like within the 60s or whatever. So today, if you were to equate that out for like your average family of 4, the poverty line is like $150,000. So just let that sink in.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the city you're in. Like Jack said earlier about Arizona, the state you're in, at least for the United States. I don't know how it is for Canada and Mexico, Trav, but it really depends on the given area you're in because various areas of minimum wage. Like a lot of the San Francisco Bay Area is at least $15 to $20 an hour, whereas other parts of California are still 10 to 15. So it's also regionally dependent, which is such a bummer too, because right, like Thomas was alluding to also with Alabama, like a human being is born into a given environment, right? And so through no fault of their own, they then what is the wage that I can earn in high school as a job to save up for a car or whatever else.
Well, are you telling me they can't swing a coal pick?
Yeah, get in the coal mines.
Yes, exactly. That's isn't it Florida? Oh my God, is it Florida that got rid of the age thing, or one of them, like, or Mississippi? They I swear I'm not making this up.
Yes, Florida lowered the work like age things on, because they want to go back, like child labor, like it's
child labor.
Oh, I don't know.
Wow.
Let me look it up. So I'm not.
Well, it's a really interesting.
Look it up. Yeah, go ahead, Jack. What were you saying?
Child labor laws, and I think like Iowa or Nebraska or one of them did too, or maybe it was Missouri or something like that, or one of them.
Mm-hmm. Jack, were you about to say something, buddy? Or is your phone messing up? Is your phone messing up? It's very possible his phone's messing up. Slayer, did you want to say something?
That is impossible.
It's impossible. Yep. Impossible. Actually, both Jack and Slayer have had phone problems today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been wild, but I'm good at the moment. I was just asking about what the age thing was, but yeah, I heard that's the child labor stuff. That's interesting.
Yep. I think Brett's looking it up for us because I would like to know as well.
It also, once again, sorry, it's just all over the place. It does depend on the state, because every state is there's certain federal regulations that every state has to follow to a certain degree, like kids can't literally be in coal mines anymore, kind of thing. But no, it depends on the state. And the quick AI search it's not talking about Florida. It's talking about a few other states who didn't as dramatically change stuff. It's not like kids can now work 50 hours a week kind of thing, but there were a few age changes and stuff, and how many hours a person can work a week. Because I got to believe that even if they try to make various changes, federal guidelines will still say, hey, there's certain things that number of hours kids can't work a week or whatnot. That's the thing with federalism, right? The states and the federal government, who has the power to regulate it. How many states outlawed, like we said, child labor in what years? That's pretty messed up to see the history of 10-year-olds in coal mines, kids getting their arms chopped off in factories and injured in places during time periods a while ago, where they basically were thrown out of the factory once they were injured, kind of thing.
Well, Florida did in 2024. They did enact a bill that allows minors who are 16 and 17 years of age to work more hours than they were.
Okay.
I think that they were pushing for a, their original ideals. Some of them, not everybody though, were a little more lax than that. But that's what that's what they've managed to pass.
Yeah, and I definitely could have read something that was overhyped and too sensational. So I should definitely read more about it.
Yeah,
I like the fact checking on the go though. Everyone, that's great.
That's
no,
very
you're
wise.
right. We got to make sure we're not, what we're talking about.
Yes, as far as I know, I know that companies like Walmart and stuff like that will allow 16-year-olds, as young as 16-year-olds to work after school. Does it get younger than that for Mississippi or whatever you were talking about? Maybe I didn't pay attention.
I'm not. Can I share my screen? Actually, I think I found a good one.
Not.
All right. Where am I here?
As long as it's risque photos of you in compromising positions.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's Ginger's gone wild. So, okay. So, can you all see it?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we've got a chart here. So we know it's a decent website because I think it's departmentoflabor.gov.
Okay.
Table of selected state child labor standards for kids under 18 and non-farm employment. Yeah, so farms I think are different because, family farms and stuff like that. Kids could be working long days, but there's still some rules around that too. So here's the federal. So 840 non-school day a week. So 40 hours. 8 to 40 hours, okay, 3 to 8 in the school day week. So yeah, you can't be, I think one of the things here is you can't be working 6 hours a day during the week, all Monday through Friday, and going to school. You couldn't be doing 30 hours like that. I'm sure some kids do in under the table jobs, but they can't go do that at Subway. You know what I mean?
Well, there is a Florida bill but it didn't pass. that was introduced in 2025 that would have allowed 13 and 14-year-olds to work like the night shift.
Yeah, that's just wild.
But it didn't
Yeah,
pass.
that's weird.
Well, it's really weird when you don't have enough workers that you want to supplement that is with making children.
Yeah.
That was that was a lot of their answer to let's deport all these immigrants and we'll put all the kids to working.
Man, why can't we just have child labor like the good old days, guys? Come on.
Good old days of coal mines everywhere.
Yeah, I'll stop there.
You're good, Brett. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so it's just, the question I ask, right, is, having worked with teenagers a long time and, many of them, including many of my closest students this year, having jobs, like, okay, they're helping out their family. They want, money for their car because not everyone's handed a car when they're 16, right? They want security, helping with bills, or they're buying their own stuff. They're going out and buying their own Jordans or whatever they're doing. But the thing is that, like, also at the end of it too, like, how many hours are they being asked to do? Are people actually still pushing school to support them so that they get, basic educations, and then, where do they go after high school kind of thing? But yeah, in some of the scenarios too, like, I'm just sometimes sus about when they, like we were saying, like, if they're trying to hire teenagers in various industries, like, I wonder, like, why is that? Is it because they're expendable? Is it because, like, are they really the best workers you can get? Yeah, and also going to younger ages
They're
too.
cheap.
Like, if
they're cheap and
know.
they're cheaper, and you don't have to provide like a lot of benefits for them. They're cheaper.
And they're also part time, which is another,
yeah, you don't have to provide
part time
benefits.
versus full time.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm not going to have any mic issues moving forward.
I like how you
Sound
age
good.
yourself
Sound
with
good
the
now, Jack.
Jordans, though. I love how you age yourself with they were buying their own Jordans.
Hey,
Yeah,
these kids
dude,
the people are still buying Jordans at an insane rate.
Oh, they still sell Jordans?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
that's-
Not only
Yeah.
do they sell, it's like a collector's item. It's the weirdest shit in the world. Imagine wearing a collector's item that costs $400 on your feet and then being upset when shit happens to what you put on your feet.
Exactly.
Like it's the most confusing shit on the fucking planet. You're walking on stuff, guys. When you go outside, there's stuff on the ground and water exists.
Wait a second.
You go
You're
in-
saying just
I need
some hooey here. You said there's a ground out there and water exists? Come on, man.
Yeah. No, I'm being basic and even then it's like these guys don't believe it. They're like, no, I'll wear these $600 shoes and I'll just lose my shit if something happens in like a really general fucking way. Which I mean, to be fair, you paid $600 for the shoes, but you know where that belongs? On
Isn't it part of the physics of nature though? As soon as you get a shiny new pair of shoes, you like basically the fifth step you take, you step in dog shit. I thought that was like the physics of the universe.
That's like half of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's part of the reason why it's a dumb fucking thing. Like I appreciate people that want to collect stuff because collecting shit is awesome. But
I have a fun question off of this to lighten the mood. When you were in high school, you don't have to tell the year, but when you personally, each person, right? When you were in high school, what was considered an expensive pair of shoes?
Oh. Jordans would fall into
You mean
that,
price
at
wise?
least.
You mean
How
price
much?
wise? Yeah.
Yeah, price.
I don't know.
DC shoes like $80 to $100 depending on the type of shoes that you get.
I always wore Vans. Like that is exactly what I wore.
I
in high
would say
school, so.
$100 was considered a pretty nice pair of shoes in high school.
Yeah, DC
really nice.
DC shoes at $100. Yeah, that's like for
Well,
my
yeah,
age
Chucky
group where I
Taylors.
was, it was like, oh shit.
I mean, like, it depends, right? Like, if I'm looking at a pair of Jordans and, you just knock the guy out in a fight, I mean, I'm taking the Jordans at that point.
Well, I mean, they are worth money. Well, again, a very terrible reason to wear expensive fucking shoes.
Okay, I had a pair of Jordans that I paid $50 for, brand new. Okay, and of course I was out of high school, so because we had Chucky Taylors when I was in high school.
Oh my God, they still have.
But I actually gave $50 for them, and hardly ever wore them. They were high top. They were the black and red and stuff. and I ended up giving them away to like, and they had hardly been worn, to like Goodwill, and like wouldn't I just love to have them now, because they were like one of his first pair of shoes that came out. Like, yeah.
Yeah, is it a? Yeah, no. My whole rant that just ended really fast. Is just is legitimately just, if you collect shit that you care about, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. If you collect shirts, if you collect marbles, if you collect Pokemon cards, using them all the fucking time will cause a condition wear in some way that you're not going to be happy about.
Right.
If it's a collector's item, don't fucking use it.
Also, if you
Stop.
like, also if you wear this collector's item, this T-shirt out, and you take it to like Chipotle or something, and you get a little bit of salsa on your shirt, and then you're like, why the fuck did I do this? This is you might want to reassess whether it's rational to wear that shirt or not.
Don't
compared to the reason you got that shirt in the first place.
I put a link into the chat. I put a link into the chat. These Tommy Hilfiger shoes from like the early 2000s were $70. I wanted them so bad because Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, Ralph Lauren was all really big at our school. But like when I told my dad that they were $70, he like steam came out of his ears. He was just like, "What are you talking about? $70? We'll never pay $70 for shoes. In my day, we would have."
Well, of course you wouldn't, because inflation was
no shoes.
Yeah, in my day we had to collect our own goat skin.
$22.
Yeah.
The shoes would have cost $22 in your day, because the inflation rate was a little fucking different. It's not. Yeah, you're still paying the same $22 for the shoes. It's still the same thing. You're just not fucking getting it because you're stuck at the time where you made $1 billion for nothing.
Back in my day, I had to donate my blood and semen, in order to get myself that type of pair of shoes.
I'm gonna have to start going to. I have a full-time job, and I still might have to start going to Plasma just to make sure that I have all of the money that I need
for daily living. Huh? So funny, yeah. Vans is all I wore, and they were like $50. So good for me.
It's actually a great point that you all made, that Trav was, taking to the good degree of like, why would you pay several $100s for things that go on your feet, and then you're navigating, like streets and whatever else, and just within a matter of days, they don't, just basic wear and tear. Or like if you're gonna wear like $200 shoes on the basketball court, it's like, dude,
I'll give you the full scientific answer to that, because they look pimp.
Yes. But they look pimp? Is that what you said?
You're not wrong. They are.
But then you hit too hard of a fucking. You're on the court. You hit too hard of a fucking turn, and you scuff them, and now you're mad for like 40 minutes. Because you bought these fucking ridiculously priced shoes.
I thought you were going to say 40 years.
Yeah, I don't care.
My Jordan
You're actually
gonna jump any higher. I did not jump any higher.
No, they do though. You're actually gonna want those nice basketball shoes if you're playing on the basketball court, and you will use those only on the basketball court. No. They don't wear those outside. That's what they're for.
No. And I'm going to tell you why.
They're for jumping higher.
Are you in D1? Are you about to make it? Are you getting in the league?
There are people that are in D1.
Right, those guys.
They're like,
you're right, Fete. I'm with you. Those guys, they need it. Everybody else, buy regular fucking shoes.
You're right about that.
No. The guys in D1, D2, maybe as the backups for D1, they need those shoes for the type of things they're getting into.
It's like the art of smoking weed. You do it for the process of buying the shoes.
No. It's an entirely different payoff.
You acquire the fucking money, and then you buy the shoes.
It's an entirely different payoff, though. With weed, I know I'm going to light it on fire. With the Nike shoes, I'm only going to light it on fire after I get sufficiently upset that I paid all that fucking money for them.
Yeah, with like Nike.
Oh my god, Brett.
Go
You
ahead,
guys
Slayer.
hear me?
Yeah, we can
Okay,
now.
cool. Yeah, so with this like lighting on fire, that's how you use it. I mean, typically. But
And walking in
like,
shoes is how you typically use shoes.
well, right, yeah. Anyways, like
Jack's just being silly. Just being silly. Go ahead, Slayer.
as an outdoorsman, somebody's always like running around in the dirt and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't even pay $5 for a pair of white shoes. So I never understood like paying like $200-300 or much less, or several $100s for a pair of nice shoes. It's like, no, like I'm definitely not going to keep these.
Now, I will admit my own faults because I'm not a perfectly good human being. I have Doc Martens for work, and I was but I was totally willing to spend the money on the Doc Martens, knowing these shoes are going to get entirely fucked up, but they're really quality shoes. So for as long as I do have them, it's okay if they get fucked up, because they will be a good shoe for a long time. So spending the money on making sure that it's a good shoe that will last me a while made the decision, and it's a decent brand, versus just being like, maybe I should buy the $500 fucking Nikes because they'll make me look really cool while I get weed entirely caked into them from my job. That's gonna be that looks really great as like weed just like piles into my shoe and makes them look incredibly fucking deformed.
Have you watched the Boondock?
Of
yes,
course.
Lots. It's hilarious.
Well, like I love the episode where like Uncle Ruckus is like examining the shoe rack, right? And he's like, I'm gonna look like, yeah.
Go ahead.
And he looks at the shoe rack, picks up a Nike, right? He's like, I'm gonna look like a fucking astronaut wearing these.
I'm gonna look like a fucking astronaut.
Yep, that Uncle Ruckus is like one of the most chef's kiss characters that ever exists. I swear, so good.
My name is Uncle Ruckus.
All right, everyone. Well, it is Tav time. We're gonna all move down to the tavern, and I want to thank everyone who contributed today. I liked the general community discussion as the topic today. It was fun.
Everybody did great.
Oh, this needs to be like a weekly thing. This is excellent.
Yeah. We've been
we're not off yet.
Yeah, no, we're still on. Anyways, good night, everyone. Make sure you're out there maximizing